Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And what we're going to talk about today are some terms that you've probably seen with voice over IP or WebRTC or other real-time protocols, and that is turn, stun, and ice. And we're going to talk about what they do very briefly, very kind of big picture, so that you know or can make a decision about whether you need or want to use them. And then you can ask questions and we can explore this whole thing together, because if you're doing voice over IP, especially if you're doing some video calls as well, they're more than likely you've seen these terms. You may not know exactly what they are or what they do, but they are important for real-time communications. So we are going to talk about what are stun, turn, and ice, and how voice over IP and real-time packets get through NAT and firewalls to make these connections, to make communication smooth. So stun stands for Session Traversal Utilities for NAT. And what it does is it reveals a device's public IP and port as the rest of the internet sees it, right? So if you've got a device that is behind NAT, what turn is going to do is when something wants to connect to it, it's going to automatically give it the WAN IP address, or the actual internet IP that the devices need to connect. So when it's used, when clients like SIP phones or WebRTC apps need to share their public address for direct connections through NAT. An example is a Grandstream SIP phone or UCM uses stun to register with a remote PBX or a remote server. So if you've ever worked with us and we've set up your SIP trunk, you'll know that in the SIP trunk setup of the PBX, there's a checkbox where we tell it use stun instead of us putting a hard-coded IP address in. Use stun to get that external IP address, and then that will ensure that the proper IP address is registered with your SIP provider. Turn stands for traversal using relays around NAT, and what it does is it relays audio, video, and data between peers when direct connections fail. So it's like an intermediary, excuse me, that packets can be sent to and from that helps bridge the connection between devices. And so when NAT or firewall rules block direct traffic, it's used as a fallback, especially in voice over IP or WebRTC. So our example here is a WebRTC call falls back to a turn relay when users are behind strict firewalls that don't allow direct connections. So we can use a turn server to complete those connections. ICE is Interactive Connectivity Establishment, and what it does is it coordinates stun and turn to find the best connection path for the call. And we use it in WebRTC and voice over IP systems for automatic connection setup, bridging, and reliability. For example, if you use Google Meet or you use Jitsi, those things that are hosted out there will use ICE to select the best route for each call. And when we talk about who's hosting these services, right? So voice over IP and WebRTC providers like Telnex, Twilio, Zoom, or VoIP.ms, they are going to have stun servers. They are going to have turn servers to help make these connections work properly so that your voice and video calls set up and work and are seamless. And you can also do self-hosted turn servers. If you have a Grandstream PBX, you'll know there is a turn server option in the PBX, so you can actually host your own turn server. Or you can also, there's an open source project called CoTurn. You can go out and Google that, and you can host that server yourself. Stun, turn, and ICE often work together to ensure call reliability and NAT traversal success, right? So we need this tool set, these different tools to help ensure that your connection goes through, is set up, and is reliable. So I hope that clears up a little bit of confusion about what these terms are and when they are used. So if you have direct connections, these may not be used at all. But anytime we're going to traverse the public internet, we're going to traverse even our own internal cloud, and we've got NAT and firewalls and things like that set up. These different mechanisms are going to help ensure that calls and video or other real-time applications, because it's not limited to this, but with us here, this is where you see this the most, but it is going to help ensure that these things work properly. I bet you can think of a few services that we've talked about here outside of voice, or a few services that you're familiar that actually use these types of things to make communication either through CGNAT or double NAT, or when ports aren't open. I'll bet you can think of them, and I bet you can list them down below. I challenge you to do that because you're probably going to be correct. So if you've got any questions about these, ask them down below. We'll see if we can come up with the answer. If we don't know, I'll get you to an article, or and not just some rando article, but another face of authority that can answer these questions for us. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and share. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links, a Patreon link. And if you need IT consulting, head on over to williehowe.com. Fill out the contact form that's there on the front page, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Come on over to the community, and let's talk about all the stun, turn, and ice that you can handle. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.